Hello, and welcome to Parent Like You Mean It, the podcast where we talk about parenting with intentionality rather than simply letting life happen to you and your kids day after day. I'm Jefferson Drexler, and just like you, I have some days when I feel like my first aid kit just isn't sufficient, and it should contain head-to-toe bubble wrap. But then there are also so many days when I'm incredibly proud that my little guys rubbed dirt on their scratch and said, "Hey, I'm all good." You see, the bottom line is this. I wish that I could be there for my kids at every step of their journey. I wish that I could scoop them up and bandage their wounds when they fall, pat them on the back and hug them and tell them how proud I am of them every time that they succeed. That I could walk with them and teach them everything that I know about this world, which really wouldn't take too long. But the reality is that I have responsibilities. I've got a job that I've got to get to, a lawn that needs to be mowed regularly, meetings to attend, and other obligations, not to mention that any time that I devote to entirely to son number 1, I'm not devoting that time to sons 2 through 4. The other reality is that there are so many things in this life that are better learned when the boys learn it on their own. They've got to learn that it's okay to cry when you're injured, but not okay to throw a fit when you're hurt. And there is a significant difference between those two. I was recently reminded of all this last Sunday when we gathered around the TV, like most of America, to watch the Patriots intercept their way to their 4th Super Bowl victory. No, it wasn't the Legion of Boom suffering through injuries to play on the big stage, nor Katy Perry overcoming a less than cooperative dancing shark that struck me, but a car commercial of all things. First off, let me offer a peek into my personal past. For a couple of years while I was in college, I was a camp counselor at a summer camp for underprivileged kids. Many were foster kids or came from some sort of rough background. A lot of them came from single-parent families. One year, I was in charge of the music time at the nightly campfire. I loved singing the loud, rowdy camp songs and hearing the campers' snorts of laughter as they tried to sing. I also loved calming things down with the song Rainbow Connection or some other slow, contemplative campfire song to wind the day down. What I found surprising was this. So many, and I'm talking dozens upon dozens of kids at this camp, would request Harry Chapin's Cats in the Cradle. Maybe it was the catchy chorus, or maybe it was the lyrical longing for relationships. I didn't get it, but I obliged. And the song has had deep meaning for me ever since then. You see, for a few years, my dad worked 1 full-time and 2 part-time jobs just so that we can make ends meet. When I was about 7, he realized how important it was for him to be around for my ball games and to tuck my brother and me into bed, so we made new choices and figured out ways to be home more. And my dad passed this priority down to me. Both my dad and I want to avoid being the dad that Harry Chapin described, who was always too busy to spend time with his son. So, flash forward to Super Bowl 2015. I was watching the big game with my dad to my right and my oldest son to my left. My other sons were running around, waiting to hear if their numbers came up on the chart each time a team scored. We were all hooting, hollering, yelling, and laughing, second-guessing the coaches, and eating way too much pizza, when all of a sudden I heard the unmistakable opening lyrics to Harry Chapin's classic. The room paused as we all watched Nissan's latest ad, depicting a race car driver's wife giving birth and the new dad whispering, "I'm a dad." The next several seconds traced the lives of this family, with Dad on the road racing, while his son learned to walk and Mom took care of things at home. When he could, the dad squeezed in bedtime stories with his son and a vacation or two, but the reality was that his son was growing up and the dad's career kept him away from home. Mom was there to clean up the messes and bring down the hammer when the now adolescent son needed it, but Dad was busy. All the while, the dad longed to be with his family, a faded picture taped to his dashboard reminding him of why he worked so hard. After 1 minute and 10 seconds of peeking into this fictitious family's life, Dad's hard work finally paid off, and he got the checkered flag as we heard the lyrics, "You know I'm gonna be like him." And we saw his son, once again, proudly yet longfully watching his dad on television. The commercial ended with the teenager exiting his school to see his dad parked at the curb. Eyes were full of regret and love as his son sat down in the passenger seat and the two exchanged a long-overdue hug. They smiled. Chords faded out. Nissan's logo filled the screen. And I screamed at the television. Are you kidding me? Prioritize your career over your family for over a decade. Miss out on every pivotal moment of your son's life. And it's okay so long as you win. Make it home before he graduates high school. And drive a Maxima. Then life will be okay. Now, to be absolutely transparent, my son's reaction was much more positive than mine. In the interest of equal time rule, he thought that the ad showed a dad who loved his family, wished that he could be with them, but couldn't, and eventually hung it all up to spend time with his boy. My son said he liked the commercial. But when I asked him if he wanted that boy's life and that type of father-son relationship, my son quickly said no way. You see, Nissan's ad made me realize how lucky I am to have a dad who, despite being exhausted after working a full-time job, a part-time job, volunteering at church, and coaching our teams, still took time to spend with my brother and me. But he didn't just spend time with us. My dad invested time in us. And thankfully, he still does today. This is a lesson in priorities that I try to live out today and strive to teach my boys as well. Someday they, God willing, will be dads themselves. What will be their priorities when it comes to work, family, church, social, and other obligations? Now, I know, just like our decision to homeschool our kids, that these choices aren't what's best for everyone. They're what's best for us, and for most every other healthy family I've ever known. But I understand that there are exceptions to my rule. I get that there are some careers where families are separated for a season. I get that there are families where parents have to spend more time away from home than they'd like simply in order to keep the lights on and mouths fed. My first question to some of these dads is this: how much are you willing to lower your standard of living in order to spend more time at home? You see, my wife and I took Dave Ramsey's financial freedom class last year, and it opened our eyes to a paradigm in regards to pruning down our lifestyle with the governing priority of getting rid of financial debt and eventually being financially liberated to, as Dave puts it, live like no one else. It's a simple pill to swallow for most people when we think about it in regards to credit card debt and financial investments. But does the door swing both ways in regards to investing in the life lessons and values and character of our children? You see, Nissan's commercial, in my mind, reinforced the importance of intentionally making the time to spend with my kids so that they know me and not my reflections. In other words, they know me by their interactions with me, the time we spend together, the lessons I teach them, the discussions we have, and the laughs that we share, not by what they saw reflected in my work or in our home or from what they heard about me from other people. Nissan titled their commercial "With Dad," and when I watched it, all I could think of was, thanks, Dad. Thank you for parenting like you mean it. For the E Squared Media Network, I'm Jefferson Drexler.